Mina the Hollower is a game that stars a mouse character but without the mouse puns, with a design philosophy that embraces what made those Zelda games on Game Boy so special back in the day. I've seen people compare it to Link's Awakening, and no, it's not a Souls-like, though there are elements of it in there. It's a combination, I feel, of Zelda's exploration with Castlevania's combat, mainly because of the whip, but Mina does control like Link's Awakening or even the Oracle games. I'm getting ahead of myself. The game was originally a side project never intended for release by Alec Faulkner, who intended to hone his coding and artistic skills. Over time though, Yacht Club management saw the game's potential and thought it would pair well with Shovel Knight. A Kickstarter campaign was launched and it got well over $1 million. Well, 1.2 million, but who's arguing semantics? Originally, it was going to be ready for Halloween 2025, and if it didn't get delayed, we might be living in a world where I release no medieval Halloween special and a Mina video that November instead. One thing that immediately stands out to me, though, is the art design. Despite the imposed artistic limitations of the Game Boy Color, that being only 4 shades of colors can exist on a single 8x8 tile at any time, Mina goes the full mile and includes shadows and black colors in that 4-color limit. It looks fantastic. It really does. The sprite work is crisp and well animated, and bosses look just creepy enough. This game has an atmosphere and it definitely nails it. They also limited the resolution to a crisp, cutting edge 256 by 144 as well, just to conform to the Game Boy Color technical limits. Never let it be said that Yacht Club's games aren't authentically retro, because they are. Let's set the scene. Mina the Hollower, the character not the game, receives a summons letter from Thorn, the Marshal of Ossex, about the spark generators corrupting the island of Tenebros. As she's reading this letter, I try all the weapons available but notice 2 slots missing. Don't worry, we'll get to those. For now, let's focus on the first 3. You have the Nightstar Whip, which is the game's signature weapon. It's mid-range and slow to swing, just like the Vampire Killer from Castlevania. You can also jump while swinging, but you don't get a boost like in Castlevania 2. Whisper and Vesper, twin swords that emulate a Zelda playstyle. And finally, the Blast Strike Maul, a giant hammer that deals massive damage. I choose the whip and go outside to fight the first, boss, the Nether Kraken. It just damages you and leaves, taking multiple people with it. Oh yeah, real death in this game. You crash into the cliffs and the game is on. Cappy gives you 3 plasma vials, and if these give up a Souls-like vibe, you'd be correct. Vials restore your health, but not in the way you expect. See, when you damage an enemy while you've taken damage, any lost health becomes an origin meter called plasma. This plasma becomes the health you recover. It works because the game would be way too easy if they just restored health, and yeah, I am sticking to that point because this game, after a certain point, becomes very, very easy. Don't let the harsh beginning fool you. Right away we come across a save point, and this leads into this game's most important mechanic, burrowing. Burrowing is essential for movement and puzzle solving, and the game teaches you how it works almost immediately. Burrowing allows you to lift certain objects, pass under obstacles, or enter specially marked places. There is a lot of depth to this game despite being limited by the technology of the Game Boy Color. You can also burrow into save points to be taken to your underlab.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
Burrowing in a Mina's lair is how you recover plasma vials and later sidearm ammo via an upgrade. I didn't discover this until I was outside of Ossex, so that was kind of embarrassing, and I felt really stupid on my part. Sidearms are basically sub-weapons from Castlevania. They come in 15 different varieties, but I mainly stick to 2. The Iron Steed, which is a very fast bicycle, and the Dynamo Lantern, which is the best sidearm I think because it has a lingering hitbox for massive damage. As I'm going through this area, I'm bopping the music by Jake Kaufman, save for 2 guest tracks which were made by Yuzo Koshiro, which are great. This game bleeds that Yacht Club charm you can't find anywhere else. It's a charm I think needs to exist more in today's gaming world of super serious cinematic over gameplay games that AAA developers charge an arm and a leg for that practically play themselves. Looking at you, Sony. and sometimes Microsoft. I die in this underground passage, and I think this is a good time to describe how death works. You're given sparks. Sparks act like extra lives that linger on the map, and if you die again with no sparks before retrieving them, you lose all the bones you collected, which actually hurts earlier on rather than later. Bones are essential for the early game as you're going to need them to buy trinkets and items from shops. I died 30 times in all, which feels like I didn't die enough. I did have a trinket that was hard to get in the early game, and we'll talk about that and trinkets more in a bit. For now though, let's talk bones. Bones are essential. You use them to level up 3 stats, attack, defense, and sidearms, all of which I think are self-explanatory. I prioritized attack and had it up to level 4 when I got to the first dungeon, or rather biome, as I'll be calling levels moving forward, save for maybe the last one because it is truly a level. Bone stones are bones that you can save if you lose all your sparks, and you can find them all over the map doing side quests and puzzles. You can also do it when you level up. But I don't typically do it when I level up, especially in the mid-game, because at that point I'm like, why should I? The game's become really easy for me at this point. Bone stones are also useful for covering the tab at shops. I just want to mention that right now too, because that becomes so much more useful in the late game than you think it does. Osix is the game's main hub where all the stores are located, and there's a ton of side quests you can do here too, but the main thing here are the stores. Like there's a clothing store, a general store, a trinket store, even a weapon shop. Holy shit. We go to the mansion where Lionel greets us, opening up an orphanage. Lionel has that main bad guy energy after he basically tells Mina, nah, it's probably fine, to the countryside burning. We go outside and Thorn ambushes us into a fight, which is the best choice for our first boss. He summons tornadoes and dives at you and leaves trails of explosives on the ground. Thorn's fight is what bosses are going to be like moving forward. We can literally go anywhere on the island, and Mina the Hollower sort of requires you to get lost and explore. Exploring is good because it allows the player to gain more bones for leveling up, trinkets, and other such items, and get used to the game's combat. If you do need a hint, it's cleverly told to you in newspaper headlines mostly, as that was the best hint system I used for the remainder of the game. People also give great hints, but not as good as newspaper headlines, at least from my experience playing this game. The first place I go to is the Queensbury Crypt, which is where everyone should go, I think. The crypt is here to teach you how levels are going to work, and this is where the Castlevania bits come in. Levels have gimmicks to them or exclusive obstacles. In this case, traps. Traps that shoot arrows on the press of a switch, these rolling columns with spikes you can't burrow under, and these crumbling floors. This is level design, and it works very well. Most biomes have gimmicks like these, and going into every little thing would make this video way too long. There is one thing. As I go through the biome, I run into Midden, who runs away from you because you supposedly smell bad. It's probably burrowing through the swamp water. I eventually run into him for a third time, and it's here he fights me like a mini boss fight. He summons flies that can explode, but after I beat him I get a trinket. All biomes have side quests too, usually with worthwhile rewards. So, what is a trinket? It's a modifier to make the game easier or harder, and this one I get from Midden summons flies on screen when I defeat an enemy. Useless against bosses, but great against everything else. I get to the boss hallway and discover a pipe, and I take it to an area where I meet the Duke.
Let's rock.
I bring him all the way back to the boss, the Duchess. She might be the hardest boss in the game because of how underleveled you are and how unprepared you are truly for this fight. She dashes at you and tries to swing a giant mace at you while you have to avoid these switches. Luckily, however, you can learn her pattern until she reveals a second form where she's a giant hentai monster. I mean, just look at this.
Nobody steals our chicks and lives.
We get a rose which increases our maximum health, and we follow the Duke to his crypt where he tells us his hentai monster wife was his chick. Oh, Anyway, we get what I consider to be the best trinket in the game, the Proto Spark, which saves you from death once per visit to the Underlab. It's why I only have 30 deaths in total in my playthrough. Continuing on, we finally get to our first generator, which is done via a minigame where you have to climb the side of it. If you take even one hit, you have to do it again. Luckily, you can't die, so there is no punishment here or penalty whatsoever. It's all about enemies' bones and dodging obstacles, and they are pretty fun. When we get to the top, we turn it back on and write a letter to Lionel. Yeah, that title card isn't a gag. I literally go explore for a while and get bored trying to find my way into new areas before going back to Ossex and buying my favorite weapon. The gun. The gun. Oh, excuse me, the battery buster. Rules. It's the weapon you'll see most of in this video. I used it exclusively from that point on unless I found the coffin weapon while exploring. Coffin weapon is cool, I guess. It's mainly a parry weapon. I don't really even use it. But back to the gun. You get 8 shots and further upgrades, yes, upgrades, to it that you can make it overpowered like... This game has so much depth to it that trying to go in depth like I usually do in these videos would make the length go over by an hour as mentioned earlier. Mina the Hollower is just that filled up game. My first playthrough when I wasn't taking notes was well over 19 hours with only 64% item completion. It's a lot. I've retooled the script a couple of times, mainly due to my thoughts on the game changing as I write it and play it. I get lost in this game a lot, and I mean a lot. It doesn't help I felt miserable at times playing it early on, stuck to my own incompetence. But when the game hits, holy shit, oh man, does it hit hard in the best way. Like an hour will pass, feeling like only 20 minutes has passed. Biomes that felt sluggish before suddenly don't. After I get that third generator online, I'm having a blast with this game. As I explore the grasslands looking for the swamp, I run into a boss called a Madhouse. Oh, game, that's adorable.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Eventually I get to the swamplands, which are relatively dangerous early game due to deep water. You can burrow in the deep water, but you'll drown if you don't escape early enough. Nox's Bayou is a fine level too. It's all about controlling the water levels mostly. You also have these lily pads to traverse on too. It's not a bad level, but it is where I get one of the most important trinkets of the game, the Iron Lung. No, not that one.
Approaching maximum depth. The hole's feeling it, but it's still holding strong. Closing porthole shielding.
The Iron Lung allows you to stay burrowed for longer, giving you a bigger window to avoid attacks. It becomes really useful for the rest of the game, especially in boss fights. I decide next to do September, which is an autumn-themed biome. You have these bounce pads to help you bounce to higher areas and to other things, and harvesters to avoid while fighting crows, and oh, this area really hurts, kids. Later on, you'll have to avoid this lightning, which can stop all momentum in the air as well as hurt you severely. It's rough in those areas, especially when they combine it with wind. One of the game's best moments for me is maneuvering around the Carving Man, who is a huge highlight. He's basically a slasher villain like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers. When you fight him, he's the boss of Settenberg, and he's just evil. He'll follow you even into your underlab. He throws pumpkin hands at you, dashes at you, and if he grabs you, say goodbye to a nice chunk of health. His second phase in the boss fight is crazy. I mean, look at this. activate the third tower and the story really doesn't go anywhere. For the most part, the story is mostly in the background. The main story after the opening bits is Thorn convincing Mina to destroy the towers instead of merely shutting them down. We find out later why that's a bad idea. So if I want to go to Coltrane Peak, I have to activate the train, but in order to do that, I have to donate 10,000 bones, which is a lot at any point in the game. So I do that, get on the train and ride it, only for it to crash in the mountains where we fight Thorn again. Coltrane Peak is pretty awesome and has these rails, which is the best gimmick of the game, and it also has my favorite boss, Locomotress Agnes, who doesn't take kindly to Mina jumping a ride. After that, I decided to go down to the mines, but first we have to go through this cave network with walkable floors only highlighted with coins. Oh, how fun that is. Another darkness area. Fuck the darkness area. I hate this area. This is followed by a trip through the Sandfalls, where we have to blow up these red mine carts using these giant bombs found around the area in a puzzle. Which again, think is alright, I guess. All this to get to the major miner, a boss who you have to sacrifice 3 health vials for before you can even fight him. He's an alright boss, I guess. He basically makes the ground shake and hits you with lava. And he recovers health by eating his co-workers. Hard fucking core. When we finally get to the mines themselves, they have a ton of platforming challenges. You have these air grips, which are actually really fun to use, and conveyor belts everywhere. This area kicks all kinds of ass. It's challenging enough while being straightforward enough, I think. Beachbone and the Dreadworm are easily the best designed areas of the game. Easily my favorite area, even without the rails. We eventually pull a Jabu Jabu and into the Dreadworm, and this biome is weird. You have a section here that requires you using the grips to navigate over a pit you enter for a puzzle, which is actually really cool. The Mind, yeah, as a boss you absolutely get blasted by. Learn and adapt to upon your next life. By this point, I have at least 4 sparks, so death means nothing to me, especially with that proto-spark trinket. This boss goes down like a bitch upon my second return.
You win. Perfect.
It's time for the game's only really bad design. These bullshit mirrors. At first you can interact with them, but don't you know you're supposed to go through them? No. I know, right? Who in the fuck is going to think to go through them? Yeah, we see a guy go into one, but never does anyone think we can go through. The game does a very poor job teaching you this. Interacting with the mirror should have a guide just straight tell you instead of being another interactable object. And to make matters worse, I have to activate switches from mirrors located all around the island, which I think is where people are going to use a guide. Each major biome has a mirror and switch you have to press, and there are 6 of them. I don't think you need to hit all 6 of them, but still, a required biome shouldn't require this level of hunt to enter. This is Simon's Quest levels of bullshit. It's like the goddamn tornado from that game.
Throw me a frickin' bone here.
The Astral Orrery is a really strange area. It's mostly puzzles where attempting it early usually results in death. I recommend you save this place for last. You have this area which revolves around black holes, this green area which is weird, but constant throughout are these cubes which are required for puzzles. The Sealed Archive is the most devious area in the game though. You have to hit these switches to light up the floor. It's not hard, but it is tedious. Then there's this ugly bastard, the Congealed Biome Boss. He's big, ugly, and not really a pushover. He's actually pretty tough in his first phase and his second. Come on, a third phase? Finally, we kill the bastard and get to the last tower. We see Lionel convince Thorn to cease his attacks, but oh shit! Nah, he'll be fine. Okay, maybe he won't. Thorn's monstrous form isn't that hard at this point in the game. I have so many options for more defense I can tank most attacks. He flies away after we defeat him. So Lionel not only turns the people of Ossix against Mina, accusing her of various crimes and being greedy of all things, he throws her out a window. Holy shit. It's time to storm Lionel's manor. He's gonna pay for throwing us out that window. For a final level, it's certainly the hardest, but not the most bullshit, I think. It's really well done. Mousetraps are present in certain sections to take away more health than anything in the game because it's a fucking mousetrap. Fuck you, game. You have gimmicks from every biome present here too, and the level is way longer than any in the game, and this auto-scroller segment can get fucked. I rescue all these cats while exploring the manor and they give me 1,000 bone stones? Oh, fuck yeah. We'll see them again. We get to Lionel, who reveals he's been hiding the effects of the sparks from the island, which isn't cool at all, and then shows off his powers he gained from sparks and vials. Lionel is the game's hardest boss, and don't tell me he's not because he is. He's harder than his next form too. He has a shield on one side you can't hit him on, and it changes sides. He has the most patterns in the game, and he even can dash at you, and the bastard can steal your sparks. What the fuck, man? Oh, damn it. So Lionel not only survived, he drinks from a vial and becomes Radiant Lionel, a flying monster. He's actually easier than his previous fight because you have more room to maneuver, and you totally used the Underlab right before coming to this fight, right? Right? Nothing in this fight really hurts me, but it is really well done. The fight continues on top and Thorn eventually joins us against Lionel and this, kids, is a final boss. This right here is chaos. This is perfect for a final boss fight in what is supposed to be a gothic horror game. Well done. Well fucking done. Holy shit, Mina! So shutting down the generators causes chaos on the island, but also peace in other areas. The guys in the Astro Orrery in particular decide to settle the West, which is hilarious. Mina meets with Cappy, who gets killed by the rioting crowd that she barely escapes. With those cats. I wasn't gonna let those kitties die in that fire. Credits roll and eventually she gets to Thorn's Island and helps revive him using her last vial. I loved my time with this game. It certainly is a slow burn, but when the game clicks, it really clicks with you. When you beat the game, you get a new Game Plus mode, which allows you to start anew with all your items. I highly, highly recommend this masterpiece of a game. It's a slow burn, yes, as mentioned several times in this review, but it's so worth it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a trilogy to finish.